With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
Getting engaged is a moment worth cherishing. A one-of-a-kind ring that you design at Blue Nile can help your love sparkle. Just choose your diamond and setting. When you've found the one, you'll get it delivered right to your door. Finding the right engagement ring can be nerve-wracking. At Blue Nile, you'll have the expert guidance needed and a diamond guarantee that ensures you're getting the highest quality at the best price. Cherish all of life's moments and save up to 30% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
We're on the road again, on the road to Tokyo 2020 with Team GB and Para GB, and literally on the road in Yorkshire for the 2019 UCI Road World Championships with the best cyclists from across the world. I'm in Harrogate for the event at the moment. The UK last hosted it in 1982, but following a successful bid backed by the government, UK Sport, British Cycling and Welcome to Yorkshire, it returns here as the latest chapter in the Yorkshire cycling success story. We'll have all you need to know about 9 days of elite cycling in Yorkshire and news on a British medal in the mixed team time trial as well. I'm Michael.
And I'm John. With the Doha World Athletics Championships coming up, British Athletics also named their team for the World Para Athletics Championships in Dubai. And we now know when the first British competitor for next year's Olympic Games will be announced. If we miss your sport, do tell us at AnythingButF on Twitter, or you can message us on Insta and Facebook. Please share, like and rate us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts as they now call it, Spotify. We want to hear from you. This is Anything But Footy, the unashamedly biased Olympic and Paralympic sport podcast.
On the way, we'll be hearing from GB boxer Rosie Eccles as she gives us her thoughts following our discussion last week about concussion. If you heard the previous episode, we titled it London Steps Up for Swimming Success. You'll know what I'm talking about. If not, dig it out through all those channels that John just mentioned. Plus, gold medal winning Paralympian Sophie Hahn, also on your Olympic and Paralympic podcast, giving us her reaction to being selected for the IPC World Championships. But let's start here in Yorkshire then. And day one of this UCI Road World Championships saw a brand new event. It was the Yorkshire Paracycling International. Now, this is the first time this event's been held in tandem with the UCI World Championships, and it was all part of British Cycling's aim to make Yorkshire 2019 the most inclusive event yet. 89 entrants, 26 different races, and success for Great Britain, and success for Yorkshire as well. Beverley's Adam Duggleby was the first rider to cross the line. He was piloting Hebden Bridge's Stephen Bate to victory in the B class. There was a win, there's always a win, for Dame Sarah Storey in the C5 class. She was one of 5 world champions in action. And today, another brand new event as well, the mixed team time trial, the first time this has ever been held. The British team was Lauren Dolan, Anna Henderson, Jocelyn Loudon, John Archibald, Dan Bigham and Harry Tanfield is actually from Yorkshire, from up the road in Great Ayton. And Great Britain won a surprise medal in this, a bronze medal behind Germany and Netherlands. And after the race, I caught up with Scotland's John Archibald. What does it mean to you to win a bronze medal at the World Championship, John?
Yeah, it's special. I mean, you couldn't have expected that. We were keen for a medal, but you never know how realistic it is when there's so many aspects revolving around it. I mean, with 6 riders and all the people to finish, and just the rain, the nature of everything made it really unpredictable.
Do you think this mixed team event is well served on this stage at the World Championships?
I feel it is. Certainly the way it went today with the crowd support, just everything surrounding the event, the way it felt as a rider to ride it, I certainly felt very proud to represent GB in that format, and I feel it's a deserved World Championship.
And what do you think about the staging here in Yorkshire?
It's gone incredibly. You always expect big things of World Championships and things like that, but certainly since I've arrived to how it's gone here, it's well drilled, organised, and you do feel like a part of a professional event, and that is to be expected, and it is what it is. Yeah, it's been great.
And you've got a busy week now because obviously you're having to step up and do another event after Geraint withdrawing.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a surprise that, so I'll jump at it and I'll take the opportunity, do as much reconnaissance as I can over the next 2 days, and then try and wing it from there.
So no opportunity really to enjoy this bronze medal tonight?
No, especially not, no. Focus again on Wednesday.
John Archibald talking to Michael there. A brilliant bronze. It seemed like Britain were waiting a long time for that because they did compete quite early and set the pace early, but a brilliant performance in the end, and they just came behind Germany and Holland, who were the champions on there. And I thought it was interesting, Michael, to see the first weekend of this event, the World Road Race Championships, as you say, the first time to be held here in Britain in 37 years, that Dame Sarah Storey, as you mentioned earlier, with another victory in the Paracycling International. She described it as the best paracycling event in the UK since London 2012. Now, that was 7 years ago now, and it seems like Yorkshire has taken the mantle from London as the capital of cycling in the UK, which took it from Cambridge, and maybe Yorkshire needs to do more for paracycling as well as British cycling, which it has been doing for the last few years.
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously you've got to make the difference between what British cycling are doing at the Velodrome in Manchester, which obviously, is a very track-focused programme, and we've seen obviously the success over various and successive Olympic Games, both Olympic and Paralympic success there. And that is all based around the Velodrome in Manchester that was built for the Commonwealth Games back in 2002. What Yorkshire has done, of course, and it's all part of this legacy from the Grand Depart in 2014, where they bought the start of the Tour de France here. They've basically owned road cycling in this country because, the Tour de Yorkshire, whether it's just because I live round here, I don't know, but it seems to me, and I've said this on this podcast before, it seems to me now to be an established part of the British sporting calendar. The football season ends, you have the Champions League final, the FA Cup final, the Premier League is won, and then you get into that little period of the summer, don't you, where you've got things like Royal Ascot and you've got the Open Golf, and I think the Tour de Yorkshire now is virtually at that top table. It's virtually there. We had the Tour of Britain cycling not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, but hardly anybody was talking about it. Again, I don't know whether it's just because I'm in Yorkshire, but I'm also in the northeast of England a lot, and Newcastle had a stage, and it was very well supported in Newcastle, the Tour of Britain. It just doesn't, though, as an event, seem to have captured the public imagination in the way the Tour de Yorkshire has. And I think then this is just the obvious kind of knock-on from that. The Grand Depart led as a legacy to the Tour de Yorkshire, and the Tour de Yorkshire and the successful staging of that has led obviously to these World Championships, which, and speaking and hearing from a lot of the riders today, not just the British riders as well, but, I was speaking to some of the Italian teams as they were coming through, and they were all saying this is the best event they've ever taken part in. And that's at the first weekend under real heavy rain here, and the event will get better with, the elite time trials on Tuesday, Wednesday, and the road races next weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
I think it's the first time I've ever watched the cycling in Yorkshire and seen rain, because every time I normally tune in, and yesterday when Sarah Storey won it, it was in bright sunshine, so it was different to see rain. And you mentioned 9 days of action to come, and I want you to talk us through it in a moment, but just to update people that Geraint Thomas, of course the 2018 Tour de France winner, has pulled out of the time trial on Wednesday for Great Britain, saying he's not in good enough shape to compete individually, which is quite an honest thing to do, isn't it? Normally you would kind of think you keep that quiet and you'd kind of go, right, okay, well, we'll just go with it. But he's decided for the best of Britain that he will step down, and as we heard John Archibald in your interview say, he's now looking forward to that and will step up with Alex Dowsett for that time trial on Wednesday. And then Thomas, of course, the Welshman, will play a huge part in the road race team, which includes national champion Ben Swift, who hails from Rotherham, Owen Dwell, Tay Geoghegan-Hart, Ian Stannard and Adam Yates making up the team. So a really strong men's team for Great Britain on home soil, and I haven't even mentioned a certain Chris Froome.
Yeah, unfortunately, obviously, Chris Froome, who did ride in the Tour de Yorkshire this year, as we know, and that was all part of his preparations for this event. The Tour de Yorkshire had an enhanced lineup, if you like, in the men's Tour de Yorkshire this year. The women's Tour de Yorkshire is always attracts the very best women riders. It's really, really up there as far as road cycling is concerned for the women. But the men's lineup, it's not quite there with the Grand Tours, the Giro, the Vuelta, or the Tour de France. But this year, it did get an enhanced start line, and that's because a lot of people were coming to Recce ahead of these World Championships. Unfortunately for Chris Froome, though, as we know, following the Recce in Yorkshire, he had that really bad accident. He's had more illness since as well. He's had a real tough time of it, and he'll be watching it on the television and listening to it on the podcast.
And is there always sunshine in Yorkshire?
No, certainly not. I mean, it's interesting you were saying it's the first time you've seen rain, because I've covered every day of the Tour de Yorkshire and the Grand Depart since it first came here in 2014. 2014 was good, but there has been wet days, there has been grey days. I remember on the Cow and Calf where we had the hill finish a couple of years ago, and it tipped it down with rain. And I remember as well earlier this year, the first day as well, I had to hide out doing my work in a little tunnel because again it was pouring with rain. But it doesn't detract. If anything, it enhances some of the entertainment, I think. Certainly as a supporter, a spectator experience, of course, you'd love it to be in bright sunshine. But, the racers come here, they know what to expect, and, they enjoy it. And, and we've seen, and I hate to say it, but a lot of people tune in to watch road racing because not only do they want to see the tactics of the road race, but, there's always the peril and the danger of it as well. We saw that in Rio, didn't we, with, some amazing crashes in the road race at the cycling. That is one of the reasons why people will watch it. And, we've seen crashes in Yorkshire over the years as well, and I'm sure there'll be one or two others, with grazed knees over the next few days. We just hope there's obviously nothing serious, because you mentioned the programme of events. Obviously today we've had the team time trial mixed relay. It's been fantastic, really successful. I think all the riders really enjoyed taking part in it. You've got the women's junior and the men's junior individual time trial on the next day, Monday. That will be the 23rd of September. The under-23 individual time trial on Tuesday, and then the women's elite individual time trial, Ripon to Harrogate on Tuesday afternoon. Then on Wednesday, you've got the men's elite individual time trial as well, Northallerton to Harrogate. You've got a men's junior road race and a women's junior road race towards the end of the week, the men's under-23 race. And then the ones that bring the curtain down, if you like, on Yorkshire 2019, the women's elite road race, Bradford to Harrogate, where Otley and Yorkshire's Lizzie Armitstead will be one of the favourites. She's done really well this year on the women's tour, head of the GC on that. So she'll be expected to do well on our home roads. And then it all finishes here in Harrogate, Leeds to Harrogate, on Sunday the 29th of September with the men's elite road race.
And of course we'll keep you up to date on anything but footy.
Yeah, we will. This is your unashamed Olympic and Paralympic podcast. Still to come, we'll be talking more about concussion, because I went down to the British Boxers Gym, the GB Boxers Gym in Sheffield this week to speak to Rosie Eccles, and we'll hear more about her thoughts on concussion in sport and concussion in boxing very shortly. Also on the podcast, we've got Sophie Hahn as well. We'll be speaking to John about her selection for the IPC World Athletics Championship. I note as well the Rugby World Cup is underway. Terrific win for England in their first game, but I just wanted to bring it up because the opening ceremony, I watched some of that online. Of course, Japan is hosting the Rugby World Cup, the first time the event's gone to Asia, and Japan hosts the Olympics and the Paralympics next year, and I thought the opening ceremony was absolutely fantastic. They unveiled all the nations around a recreation of Mount Fuji. Now, if that's what they're doing for the opening ceremony of the Rugby World Cup, that's got me excited, I have to say, for Tokyo 2020, the Olympics and the Paralympics ceremonies. I know not everyone likes a ceremony. Personally, I love them, and I'm excited about them now.
After last week's hugely successful World Para Swimming Championships at the London Aquatic Centre, of course, I was there at the last edition of Anything But Footy. It's been confirmed the Olympic venue will stage Diving's World Series again from March the 27th, 29th next year, 2020. It is Olympic year next year and Paralympic year. Incredible stuff. Tom Daly and Jack Law and Grace Reed confirmed too after their success in last year's series. So it'll be a great chance for anyone to support them, to say goodbye and good luck for Tokyo 2020. And the FINA governing body has also announced the date of the FINA Diving World Cup 2020, which doubles up as a test and qualifying event as well for the 2020 Olympic Games, and that will run in April 2020. So lots of action for the divers early next year. And 4 World Championship gold medalists are in the British team for the final swimming event of 2019. the European Short Course Swimming Championships in Glasgow this December. Local lad Duncan Scott, Luke Greenback, James Guy and James Wilby are amongst the 16 swimmers competing at yet another home championships. So many sports taking place in the UK now, with Michael at the World Road Race Championships, of course, in Yorkshire as we speak. And the term short course, for anyone who doesn't know, is used to identify a pool that is just 25 metres in length, because the Olympics and the World Athletics and the World Swimming Championships, I should say, are conducted over the long course. So this is the short course pool. So basically, there's more indoor, like in indoor athletics, there's more bends, there's more turns in a 25-metre pool. So a lot more hard work for the swimmers.
And qualifying for the boxing tournament at the Olympics in Tokyo will begin in London as well, so another little feather in the cap for the capital city. The World Boxing Championships, which are not part of the qualification process for Tokyo 2020, for the men have been taking place in Russia over the last week or so. Great Britain sent a team of 13. It was a mixed week for the GB men's squad. 3 medals, should have been more. They were pleased with 6 boxers in the quarter-finals. Rob McCracken, the performance director, said overall we're very happy with the progress. The squad is going in the right direction. Pat McCormack won a silver. He was top of the bill, if you like. Only the 5th British man to box in a World Championship final. So a bit of individual history there.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's an incredible stat.
Well, I think the interesting thing about, the GB boxing programme, and when I was down there in Sheffield this week, someone pointed this out to me, is unlike a lot of the other Olympic sports, you lose a lot of your cohort all the time, because obviously there's the bigger prize of turning professional. So, whilst Olympic medals are important for boxers, actually the cash, the riches, the belts are to be made and to be won when you leave the programme. So, Pat McCormack, only the 5th British man to box in a World Championship final. Accidental clash of heads in one of the rounds really curtailed his bid for gold. But well done to Pat. Well done as well to Ben Whittaker and Peter McGrail. Some names will be following on the road to Tokyo, both winning bronze medals. The big story of the week, though, concerned Frazer Clarke, who we thought was going to win a medal. The Russians appealed.
Well, he should have won a medal. Let's be honest.
Well, according to the judges who judged and scored the rounds, he would have gone into the semi-finals and won a guaranteed medal. He was in the super heavyweight quarter-final against Maxim Bebanin. The Russians appealed the result and it was overturned. The statement read, "The decision of the bout review jury is to overturn the original decision based on review of the 3rd round and applying the IABA scoring criteria." Now, the key words in that are the IABA, which, as we discussed before, is a body pretty much in disgrace. They've already been stripped of the right to, if you like, host that Olympic boxing tournament. British boxing requested more info. They were refused. They were given no opportunity to counter-appeal. The IABA is an organisation in crisis. As I said, they're not going to be staging the Olympic boxing. They have a lack of clarity. They have a lack of openness. They have a lack of transparency. They've got huge governance issues as well. And these are not just me making these points. This is what GB Boxing is saying as well, and that is why, and there's so many conspiracy theories, and for various legal reasons, let's not go into them all, but that is one of the reasons, rather part of the background, if you like, to the reasons why Frazer Clarke was stripped of that medal.
Well, we've said so many times, Michael, how tough this sport is, and how much they're relying on proper judging, and frankly, this is the difference between medals and success and not. And actually, as you rightly have said earlier, boxing is fighting to keep these people in the sport, because they could easily go and get paid in the professional world. So look, as you rightly say, the IOC have said enough is enough, and the AIBA will not run the boxing at the Olympics next year in Tokyo, and they've set up the Olympic Boxing Task Force, which is currently just finalising the appointment of PricewaterhouseCoopers to independently review the process for selecting and evaluating boxing referees and judges, because as Michael says, the governing body, International Boxing Association, suspended till after Tokyo from the Olympics due to concerns over finance, governance, ethics and refereeing and judging. And how very apt, because we've seen that at the World Championships, and that's the reason why they are not hosting the Olympics next year.
Yeah, well, I understand what Rob McCracken is saying overall we're very happy with the progress. And, we go back to a point that we've made time and time again. It's nice to win medals at the World Championships. Who wouldn't want to be a world champion boxer? but this wasn't part of the qualification process for the next Olympics, so that is a good thing. So the qualification of Frazer Clarke has not been affected by this. They'll go into their qualification period now in the autumn, as I said, starting in London, and we're a year out from the Olympic Games, so you would hope that the likes of Pat McCormack, Ben Whittaker, Peter McGrail and others, 6 boxers in the quarterfinal, as I said, that will, with another year under their belt, if you like, might be able to progress to move up. But that is obviously all with the caveat that the Olympic Games, the IOC, have got the right and proper body and the right and proper people running that boxing tournament, something that they didn't have in Rio, where we saw story after story about poor judging decisions and judges being sent home and all the rest of it. Talking of boxing, of course, we spoke at length last week about it, and we talked about concussion. This is because of some comments that Rob McCracken, the performance director, had said on a podcast. He then subsequently explained those comments and, I think basically apologised for being a little bit slack in his language. The word he used was concussion, where maybe the word he wanted to use was dazed or something like that. And as I said, I went to Sheffield this week to meet some of the boxers there. The women's team's going to be named in the next few days, so hopefully next week we'll be speaking on this podcast, Anything But Footy, your Olympic and Paralympic podcast, to some of those women who are also going to Russia for their World Championship. But I did grab a word with Rosie Eccles because I knew that she had been concussed in a fight. She's hoping to be part of that women's team, and she gave me her reaction to last week's debate on Anything But Footy about concussion protocols.
So I had a serious concussion a couple of years ago, and the treatment I received was amazing after that. And a lot of people get a lot of people have opinions about this sort of thing, but they're not in our sport. And at the end of the day, we're in a sport where you get punched in the head, and at the end of the day, there's a chance you'll get concussed, and there's a chance you'll be dazed, and you put faith in your judgment and also your coach's judgment. And there's been a lot going on this last week, and actually, speaking as a fighter and who's in this environment, I think people get confused with terms, and actually we're in a sport where the risk of head injury is very high, but it's managed, and at the end of the day we're all adults and we're responsible and we choose to do this sport. And because I honestly believe my life with this sport and with the risk of concussion is so much more fulfilled than my life without it, and I think that's what maybe other people don't realise, that actually what boxing gives people is a lot more than the risk that it poses.
And when you had your serious concussion, what was the protocol? Did you have to just basically sit out?
It was so basically I went to the European final and I think I had a concussion, but no one, I didn't even know, and no one would have known. I come back, and after the Europeans, I didn't feel very great. This was a few years ago, and I didn't really know what was wrong. And then I went back sparring, and I got hit, and they picked up that I must have had a concussion and had a more serious one. And then the treatment I had was amazing. I had it with Sport Wales. Sadly, for 4 months I was on complete cognitive rest, which was awful. But then I got brought back, and they brought back slowly. Colin Jones really looked after me, made sure I wasn't sparring properly until, even after I'd had the all clear, he kept me off the sparring and made sure I was fit physically before he even considered putting me in a ring. And the care I had there, that was before getting on GB, was no end, and they really looked after me, and they still continue to. And I think that's what people don't realise. They see the horrible stuff when someone's concussed, but they don't see the teams pull together behind the scenes, and that's massively what happened for my case 2 years ago.
So just final question on this. In NFL, for example, they've got observers that sit in the stands. If they spot something, they then radio down. Could that work in boxing?
I genuinely don't think it could work, because in NFL the aim isn't to punch people in the head. In boxing, the aim is to punch people in the head. And I'm thinking, of course you're going to see someone take a shot, but you don't realise we're conditioned in a different way to NFL players. We're conditioned to the sport that we do, and I think pulling people out because they're taking a shot, it will ruin the sport. And at the end of the day, as I said, we're adults, we consent, we know of the risks. I think it wouldn't work. I think there's protocols afterwards. You had a medical before every fight. If doctors pick up on anything, and if a coach picks up your concussed, there's no way they're going to put you in the ring. Absolutely no way.
And Michael, what I like about what Rosie said to you there was that, you said that last week we need a standard approach across all sport. Something like WADA with drugs. Someone needs to step up and say, right, this is the concussion rules for all of the sports. But what she's saying is, yes, that's absolutely what we should be doing. But also, nobody in boxing is going to be put at risk. She has experience of this. She said, I was not going to be put at risk by the doctors.
Yeah, and you only have to go and speak and spend a little bit of time at that facility at the English Institute of Sport in Sheffield to know that welfare is first and foremost. You know, a gold medal, a world championship title, whatever, is fantastic. But we know how serious, if someone was properly concussed, we know how serious a brain injury could be if they were subsequently put back in the ring. And there's no way in the world that GB programme, and we go back to words that we've just used about the AIBA, for example, where you look at welfare and governance, there's no way in the world that anyone in that programme would put a boxer in the ring if they felt that there was any potential lasting effects or lasting damage to their health.
Still to come on Anything But Footy, your Olympic and Paralympic podcast, we will be talking about the first British athletes for Tokyo 2020. They are about to be revealed. That is still to come. But in athletics, Captain Richard Kilty has a certain ring to it, I thought, Michael. Well done to
Captain Kilty, like that.
Well done to the Teesside Tornado. He has been voted by fellow British athletes to be the skipper for the World Championships in Doha. Starts this coming Friday, September the 27th. If you haven't heard our preview pod, make sure you go back and listen to that. Anything But Footy, a countdown to Doha, is well worth a listen. The sprinter is in his fourth consecutive World Championships and in the 4x100 relay squad, looking to defend their world title, of course. He received the most votes from every member of the 73-strong British team and described it as an incredible, huge honour, which I think it rightly is recognised that he is Captain Kilty, and we're looking forward to seeing him. He's one of 1,928 entries, comprising of 1,000 men and 889 women in Doha, and as I say, worth listening to our Countdown to Doha 2019 special, because we look ahead to that. And staying with athletics, because an interesting team announcement this week, double 2016 Paralympic champion Libby Clegg returning for the first time since success in Rio at a major championships for Great Britain as one of 43 athletes confirmed in the team for the World Para Athletics Championships, which will take place in Dubai in November. Now, the 29-year-old Clegg gave birth to son Edward in April this year and will take on the T11 200 metres with guide Thomas Summers. There are 11 world champions from London 2017 returning to the team, including 10-time world champion Hannah Cockcroft, Holly Arnold, Sophie Hahn, Olivia Breen, Kadina Cox, Sophie Camlish, Sammy Kinghorn, who's back to full fitness after months of injury, Steph Reed, and two-time Paralympic gold medalists Alan Davis, Johnny Peacock and Richard Whitehead. Now, Sophie Hahn is a 22-year-old sprinter, and this is real legacy from 2012, which we talked about so much on Anything But Football. She watched it as a 15-year-old, and she then came into the Paralympic sport and para-athletic sport. She is the T38 100-metre Grand Slam champion. She's broken the world record in the 100 metres earlier this season. She's the reigning 100 and 200-metre world champion, and she's told us that she's going there for more success.
I'm very excited. It's a huge honour to represent Great Britain, and I'm very excited to see what the team can do, and just can't wait to go and see Dubai, really. I think it's always a sort of good landmark to see all the trainers going in the right direction. Obviously the season's so long, so you have to sort of plan. So I've got a great support and great team behind me, and just going to keep training hard and get ready for the champs. It's going to be busy, but I'll be ready. I'd love to retain my title in the 1 and 2. Obviously, world record would be nice, but I think it's all about crossing the line first, hopefully winning the gold. And then for the relay, just give all I've got. Obviously, 3 gold medals would be nice, but you never know what's going to happen on the day. But I would love to do that.
Sophie Hahn with a list of achievements there that John has mentioned, and also stole a photo I took of her and used it as her Twitter profile picture for a long time. I took a picture of her of the Gold Coast at the Commonwealth Games with her medal, and I posted it, and she obviously nicked it off me and used it. But, you know, if you've won that many Paralympic medals and you won medals at the Commonwealth Games, I think I'll forgive you. You are officially forgiven, Sophie.
And that championships take place in November, and we'll talk more about that on Anything But Football in the weeks to come. Just a quick one after the edition at the World Swimming in London, Michael. A few people said, why don't you explain the categories in the Paralympic sports? And look, we absolutely can and we absolutely will, but almost most of the athletes say to us, don't worry about it, we just want to be judged on our success or not, rather than the category. But we will keep informing you as we go.
And I just want to say hello to Scott Wilson, who's the chief sports writer at the Northern Echo, very famous newspaper in the northeast of England. He's a big fan of anything but footy, he told me this week, and has subscribed to the podcast. So thank you very much for that, Scott. In shooting, Great Britain have won shooting medals at the European Championships in Bologna. Bronze medal for Sinead McIntosh and Ken Parr in the mixed prone event. Also, Amber Hill and Ben Llewellyn won a bronze medal in the mixed skeet team event as well.
Anything But Footy's been told that October the 1st will be the date the first British athletes for the Tokyo Olympics 2020 will be revealed. Chef de mission Mark England will be revealing who they'll be in pool. Maybe a clue there. Stay with us at Anything But Footy as we remain on track for Tokyo.
And talking of revealing teams, the BOA, the British Olympic Association, have named 21 athletes to represent Team GB in the inaugural Beach Games. I wonder whether Poole might be bidding to host the Beach Games in the future. 7 disciplines, 97 countries will all be gathering in Doha. The sports include beach soccer, bouldering, kite surfing, skateboarding, where Sky Brown was one of those athletes named, the 11-year-old skateboarder, water skiing, wakeboarding and aquathlon. Not quite sure what that is, but it's one of the 7 disciplines, part of the Beach Games.
Have we had an invite for that?
I am not sure that we've had an invite to go to Doha, but I'm very, very, very happy, if they want me to go, to smash out my swimming trunks and my knotted hanky and get myself on a plane.
Oh, good grief.
Well, that is it.
String vest, oh dear.
Yes, lovely image to leave you with. That is it. That is the way we're going to leave Anything But Footy today, with me in a string vest and a knotted handkerchief from Harrogate at the Road World Cycling Championships. I just want to say, before we go, you can always contact us, of course, on Twitter at Anything But F. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram. You can download us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can even drop us an email, anythingbutfooty@gmail.com, and pick us up on anything that we might have said on the podcast, even if it's about my string vest and my knotted handkerchief. If we haven't mentioned your sport and you'd like us to, then do get in touch with us, or if you want us to try and explain something about Olympic and Paralympic sport, we'd love to be able to help you out. And we'll leave you by just saying happy birthday to the International Paralympic Committee, which is 30 years old today. From Anything But Footy, we say many happy returns.
Social Podcast Network.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.